Are these ADHD signs or just their usual chaos? For a long time, you told yourself the same comforting story. You are not disorganized. You are not forgetful. You are not impulsive. You are just chaotic. Lovably chaotic, quirky, a little scattered. The kind of person who loses their phone while actively using it. The kind of person who starts cleaning the kitchen and somehow ends up researching the history of spoons, ancient cutlery traditions, and whether medieval forks were once considered controversial. You laugh about it. Other people laugh about it. And for a while, that laughter feels like proof that everything is fine. Like the joke itself is evidence that nothing is wrong. But quietly, in the back of your mind, a question keeps tapping you on the shoulder. Not loudly, not urgently, just often enough to be annoying. Are these just funny personality quirks? Or are these ADHD signs hiding behind a very charming sense of humor? Before we go any further, take a moment to like this video and subscribe to the channel. And while you are listening, tell us in the comments where you are watching from. If you have ever described yourself as just chaotic, you are absolutely in the right place. Possibly early, possibly late, probably distracted, but still here. At first, calling yourself chaotic feels harmless. It even feels protective. Chaos sounds fun. Chaos sounds creative. Chaos sounds like a personality trait instead of a problem that might require explanation, effort, or uncomfortable self-reflection. Saying I'm chaotic feels much easier than saying I'm overwhelmed, or I'm constantly behind, or my brain does not cooperate with me the way I want it to, even when I genuinely care. So you lean into it. You joke about being bad with time while running late again, even though you left early and still somehow miscalculated everything. You laugh about forgetting things that matter to you, even though each time it happens your chest tightens just a little. You say things like, "That's just how I am," while quietly wondering why basic tasks feel like boss battles, and everyone else seems to be playing on an easier difficulty setting with better tutorials. Because chaos is funny, until it is exhausting. At some point you realize you are tired in a very specific way. Not the "I worked hard" tired. The "I spent all day negotiating with my own brain" tired. The kind of tired where rest does not feel refreshing because you are not actually resting. You're just temporarily paused. You start noticing patterns, not random chaos, predictable chaos, familiar chaos. You always lose the same items. You always underestimate time in the same way. You always feel motivated at inconvenient hours and completely drained when you actually need to function. You can hyper-focus for hours on something interesting and then feel physically repelled by something boring, even if it is important and has consequences. You tell yourself everyone is like this, and yes, everyone is a little chaotic sometimes. But not everyone lives there. Your chaos follows you everywhere. It follows you to work, where you open your email with confidence and then immediately feel overwhelmed by the sheer existence of unread messages. Not even the content, just the number, the implication, the responsibility. It follows you into relationships where you care deeply but forget to respond or respond too much, or respond perfectly in your head and not at all in reality. It follows you into your finances where bills feel abstract until they are suddenly urgent. It follows you into your sleep schedule where just one more thing turns into several hours. It follows you into your sense of self where you start questioning whether you can trust your own intentions. It shows up when you interrupt someone and immediately apologize, then interrupt again while apologizing for apologizing. It shows up when you walk into a room with purpose and walk out confused, holding something you did not need and still forgetting the original reason you went in. It shows up when you swear you will remember something later because it feels important, and then it disappears forever, as if it was never real. And still you hesitate to call it ADHD. Because ADHD feels serious. ADHD feels clinical. ADHD feels like something other people have. You imagine hyperactive kids bouncing off walls, not adults sitting on couches, staring into space, mentally screaming at themselves to stand up and do the thing they actually want to do. So you keep calling it chaos. You say you are bad at routines. You say you just need more discipline. You say you work best under pressure even though the pressure is slowly draining you. You tell yourself that if you could just get organized, everything would finally fall into place and stay there this time. You try planners, you try apps, you try systems that feel revolutionary for about 3 days. Then they disappear from your life like they sensed the inevitable disappointment and chose to leave quietly without confrontation. You blame yourself again. Because ADHD chaos does not look like struggle, it looks like inconsistency. And inconsistency is easy to judge, especially from the outside. Some days you are brilliant, focused, creative, on fire. You do impressive work quickly. You solve problems effortlessly. You surprise people. You surprise yourself. And then without warning, those abilities vanish. Starting feels impossible. Thinking feels foggy. Your brain feels loud or empty, or somehow both at the same time. So people assume you choose this. They think you decide when to show up. They think you are careless, irresponsible, or unserious. They do not see the invisible effort. They do not see how much energy it takes to manage things that look effortless for others. And eventually you stop seeing it too. You start believing the chaos explanation because it is easier than asking harder questions. You turn your struggles into jokes because jokes get laughs instead of concern. You embrace the chaos persona because it feels safer than admitting you are struggling and do not know why. But chaos does not explain everything. Chaos does not explain why you care so deeply and still struggle to act. Chaos does not explain why boredom feels physically uncomfortable, like an itch you cannot scratch. Chaos does not explain why starting tasks feels harder than finishing them. Chaos does not explain why you can remember a random conversation from years ago in perfect detail, but cannot remember what someone said to you 10 seconds ago. ADHD does. ADHD explains why your motivation is interest-based, not importance-based, why your brain lights up for novelty and shuts down for repetition, why deadlines turn you into a productivity machine and open-ended tasks turn you into a frozen statue staring at the wall, fully aware of what you should be doing and completely unable to do it. ADHD explains why your chaos has rules, because your chaos is not random. It responds to stimulation. It collapses under monotony. It flares under pressure. It calms when you are engaged and explodes when you are bored. You are not chaotic because you do not care. You are chaotic because your brain is constantly scanning for something engaging in a world that demands consistency above all else. So you wake up determined to be normal today. You tell yourself you will focus, stay calm, be organized, you set intentions, you make lists, you genuinely mean it. And then life happens. Distractions happen. Your brain jumps tracks. You fall behind again. And the self-talk starts. Why can't you just do it? Why is this so hard for you? Why does everyone else seem to manage? That voice is not motivation, it is shame. And shame is one of the worst motivators for ADHD brains. Shame does not create focus. Shame creates freeze. So you freeze, you scroll, you avoid, you wait until urgency kicks in, because urgency feels like oxygen. Suddenly your brain wakes up. Suddenly you can focus. Suddenly you can do in a few hours what felt impossible for days. And everyone asks the same question. Why didn't you just do this earlier? You ask yourself that too. Living for years under the belief that you are just chaotic does something subtle but damaging. You stop trusting yourself. You stop trusting your intentions. You hesitate to make plans because you're afraid of letting people down. You lower expectations not because you lack ambition, but because disappointment hurts too much. Even on good days, there is tension. You finally feel focused and productive, but part of your brain whispers, "Enjoy it while it lasts." Because experience has taught you this state is temporary. That uncertainty is exhausting. You live in extremes, all in or completely stuck, hyper-focused or mentally offline, overcommitted or avoiding everything. There is rarely a comfortable middle ground. And then there is rest. Rest should be simple. Sit down, relax, recharge. But for you, rest is complicated. You sit down, and your brain immediately starts listing unfinished tasks, forgotten messages, missed opportunities, and awkward things you said years ago. You are not resting. You are buffering. People see you sitting still and assume you are doing nothing. Internally, you are running a full systems check on your entire life. That is not laziness. That is not chaos. That is ADHD. And the wildest part is, once you see it, you cannot unsee it. You realize the chaos label was a shield, a way to make something painful sound light, a way to survive without understanding, a way to protect yourself from judgment by getting there first. But understanding changes everything. When you stop asking, "What is wrong with me?" and start asking, "How does my brain work?" the shame begins to loosen its grip. You stop narrating your life as a series of failures and start noticing patterns. You stop trying to force yourself into systems that punish you and start building systems that flex. You learn that structure does not mean rigidity. You learn that motivation cannot be bullied into existence. You learn that rest is not a reward, it is maintenance. You also learn that consistency is not the only measure of competence. Creativity, adaptability, insight, deep focus on meaningful work. These were never weaknesses. They were strengths that never fit neatly into rigid systems. And humor stays, but it changes. You still laugh at forgetting why you walked into a room. You still laugh at the pile of notebooks with 2 pages written in each. You still laugh at the way your brain remembers something from years ago, but not where you put your keys 5 minutes earlier. But now the laughter is kinder. It does not come with self-contempt. It does not come with shame. It comes with understanding. If this story feels familiar, take a moment to like the video and subscribe. More stories like this are coming. And in the comments, tell us where you are watching from, and whether you have always called it chaos, or whether you are starting to realize it might have been ADHD all along. You are not messy. You are not careless. You are not broken. You are navigating life with a brain that experiences everything at full volume. And once you understand that, the chaos stops being something you fight and becomes something you finally know how to live with.